The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie is a 2004 American traditional animated adventure comedy film based on the Nickelodeon television series, SpongeBob SquarePants. The film was directed and produced by series creator Stephen Hillenburg, and stars the regular television cast with guest performances by Scarlett Johansson, Jeffrey Tambor, Alec Baldwin and David Hasselhoff. The plot follows Plankton's plan to steal King Neptune's crown and send it to Shell City. There, SpongeBob and Patrick must retrieve it to save Mr. Krabs' life from Neptune's wrath and their home from Plankton's plan. Previous offers by Paramount Pictures to create a film version of SpongeBob SquarePants were turned down by Hillenburg, but he eventually accepted one in 2002. When the film went into production, Hillenburg and the show staff halted production on the series after the third season. A writing team Hillenburg, Paul Tibbitt, Derek Drymon, Aaron Springer, Kent Osborne and Tim Hill was assembled, conceiving the idea of a mythical hero's quest, the search for a stolen crown which would bring SpongeBob and Patrick to the surface. A film was originally intended as the series finale. However, Nickelodeon wanted more episodes, so Paul Tibbitt assumed Hillenburg's position as showrunner to begin work on a fourth season for broadcast in 2005. During production, Jules Engel, Hillenburg's mentor at the California Institute of the Arts, died. The film was dedicated to his memory. Tie-in promotions were made by 7-Eleven, the Cayman Islands and Burger King SpongeBob SquarePants inflatable figures. The film was a box office success, and received generally positive reviews from media fans and critics. A sequel was announced in 2012, and is planned for release on February 6, 2015. Plot: the film follows the plot of the TV series SpongeBob SquarePants, focusing on the anthropomorphic sea sponge of the same name. It begins with a live-action sequence of a pirate crew awaiting its treasure, tickets to the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. When they recover them, they sail to the movie theater and sit in front row seats to watch the film. In the movie proper, SpongeBob dreams about managing the Krusty Krab restaurant. The restaurant is in trouble because a customer has no cheese on his Krabby Patty, but SpongeBob saves the day. He wakes up and cheerfully prepares for the opening ceremony for Krusty Krab 2, hoping that his boss Mr. Krabs will promote him to manager of the new restaurant. At the ceremony, SpongeBob is passed over. His co-worker, Squidward Tentacles, is given the promotion because Mr. Krabs thinks he is more mature than SpongeBob. Meanwhile, Plankton, Mr. Krabs' business rival, devises a plot to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula and frame Mr. Krabs. He steals King Neptune's crown at night, sending it to Shell City. That night, SpongeBob goes to his favorite restaurant, Goofy Goober. He drowns his sorrows in ice cream with his best friend, Patrick Star, waking up the next morning with a headache. King Neptune barges into Krusty Krab 2, assaults and freezes Krabs. When SpongeBob arrives later, although he criticizes Mr. Krabs, he promises Neptune he will retrieve the crown from Shell City. Neptune tells SpongeBob to return with the crown in 6 days for him to thaw Mr. Krabs. SpongeBob and Patrick leave for Shell City in a car shaped like a Krabby Patty. In Bikini Bottom, Plankton steals the Krabby Patty formula, using it to produce and sell Krabby Patties at his restaurant, the Chum Bucket, with the claim that Krabs bequeathed him the recipe. He sends a hitman named Dennis to pursue SpongeBob and Patrick. Squidward discovers the truth about Plankton stealing Neptune's crown, and tries to alert Neptune. However, Plankton uses mind-controlling buckets disguised as souvenirs to control Bikini Bottom's residents, including Squidward, and renames the city Planktopolis. Meanwhile, SpongeBob and Patrick encounter a dangerous trench, but Neptune's daughter Mindy helps them past it. They are stopped by Dennis, who tries to kill them with his spiked boots, but is in turn stepped on by a massive Cyclops. The Cyclops grabs SpongeBob and Patrick, and goes to his store near the beach. At the store, SpongeBob and Patrick find the crown, but are nearly killed in a lethal drying-out process. Their tears short-circuit the heat lamp. Its smoke activates the sprinkler system, reviving them and the other dried sea creatures sold as souvenirs. As the sea creatures attack the diver, SpongeBob and Patrick take the crown and head for the beach. When they lose their way home, David Hasselhoff offers them a ride. Dennis catches up to them, but is knocked by a catamaran back into the sea. Back at Krusty Krab 2, Neptune arrives to execute Mr. Krabs. Just in time, SpongeBob and Patrick return with a crown, save Mr. Krabs and confront Plankton. He drops a mind-controlled bucket on Neptune, enslaving him. SpongeBob plays Goofy Goober Rock, and frees Bikini Bottom's residence. Plankton is arrested. King Neptune thanks SpongeBob for his bravery and thaws Mr. Krabs, who makes SpongeBob manager of the Krusty Krab 2 in gratitude. In a post-credits scene, a theater usher tells the captain and his pirate crew to leave and they reluctantly comply. Cast. Production, development. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie was long planned. Nickelodeon and Paramount Pictures had approached series creator Stephen Hillenburg for a film based on the show, but he refused for more than a year. Hillenburg was concerned, after watching The Iron Giant and Toy Story with his sons, about the challenge of SpongeBob and Patrick doing something more cinematically consequential and inspiring without losing what he calls the SpongeBob cadence. He said, on a break from season 4 post-production, to do a 75-minute movie about SpongeBob wanting to make some jellyfish jelly would be a mistake, I think. This had to be SpongeBob in a great adventure. That's where the comedy's coming from, having these two Norway characters, SpongeBob and Patrick, a doofus and an idiot, on this incredibly dangerous heroic odyssey with all the odds against them. In 2002, Hillenburg and the show's staff stopped making episodes to work on the film after the show's third season. The film's plot originally had SpongeBob rescue Patrick from a fisherman in Florida. The obvious reference to the 2003 film, Finding Nemo, was later said by Tom Kenny to be a joke plot to keep fans busy. Hillenburg wrote the film with 5 other writer-animators from the show over a 3-month period in a room of a former Glendale, California bank. Osborne said, "It was hugely funny. Although it did get kind of gammy in there." At the beginning of the series, Hillenburg screened a number of silent shorts and work by 2 modern comic actors, Jerry Lewis and Pee Wee Herman, both obvious inspirations for SpongeBob. For the film, the writers created a mythical hero's quest, the search for a stolen crown, which brings SpongeBob and Patrick to the surface. Bill Fagerbakke said about the plot, "It's just nuts. I'm continually dazzled and delighted with what these guys came up with." When the film was completed, Hillenburg wanted to end the series so the show wouldn't jump the shark. However, Nickelodeon wanted more episodes. He said, "Well, there was concern when we did the movie, in 2004, that the show had peaked. There were concerns among executives at Nickelodeon." Hillenburg resigned as the series' showrunner, appointing Paul Tibbitt to succeed him. Tibbitt was one of Hillenburg's favorite crew members. I totally trusted him. Tibbitt is still showrunner and an executive producer. Hillenburg no longer writes the show on a day-to-day basis, but reviews each episode and submits suggestions. "I figure when I'm pretty old I can still paint her. I don't know about running shows." Tom Kenny, Bill Fagerbakke and the crew confirmed that they had completed 4 episodes for broadcast on Nickelodeon in early 2005, and planned to finish a total of about 20 for the 4th season. In September 2003, Jules Engel died. Hillenburg dedicated the film to him. "He truly was the most influential artistic person in my life. I consider him my art dad." Animation. There were a number of stages involved in the making of the film, beginning with the rough animation process of ideas drawn on post-it notes. The writers drew, working from rough outlines rather than scripts. Hillenburg said, "It's in the characters' extreme body language, in how they slither capriciously around the deadpan frames." The storyboard artists, including Sherm Cohen, then illustrated ideas conceived by the writers. In the series, Tom Yasami and Andrew Overton do the animatics, but director Hillenburg and writer Derek Drymon did the animatics for the film. Yasami and Overton were the film's animation timing directors, concentrating on the sheets. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie was animated at Rough Draft Studios in South Korea. The animators worked semi-digitally. Pencil-drawn poses would be composited into layouts in Photoshop. Series writer and storyboard artist Eric Wise left the show for a year to work on Samurai Jack and Danny Phantom, but returned to do storyboards and character layout for the film. He always wanted to be a feature animator, and the movie felt like I was on the character animation end, describing the experience as a blast. It felt like coming home. Hillenburg enjoyed the process of making the film. The TV schedule is tight, and you don't always have a lot of time to work on your drawings. He appreciated the film's hand-drawn animation. I think the movie's drawings are much superior than the TV show, although CGI animation was flourishing at the time of the film's release. There's a lot of talk about 2D being dead, and I hope people don't think that. Even Brad Bird is a proponent of 2D. He would agree with me that it's all about what you're trying to say. There are many ways to tell a story, and what's unique about animation is that there are many styles with which to tell a story. The clay animation scenes were shot by Mark Caballero, Seamus Walsh and Chris Finnegan at Screen Novelties in Los Angeles. Filming: the film features live-action scenes directed by Mark Osborne in Santa Monica, California. The ship used during the 30-second opening featuring the pirates singing the theme was the Bounty, a 180-foot-long, enlarged reconstruction of the 1787 Royal Navy sailing ship HMS Bounty built for 1962's Mutiny on the Bounty. The ship has appeared in a number of other films, including Treasure Island, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest and Pirates of the Caribbean, at World's End. In film trailers, live-action scenes were taken from Das Boot, The Hunt for Red October and U-571. Baywatch and Knight Rider actor David Hasselhoff made a cameo in the live-action scenes, offering SpongeBob and Patrick a ride to Bikini Bottom. The scene was originally written before consulting Hasselhoff. Hillenburg was pleased with the storyboards. Lead storyboard artist Sean Cohen said, he had been wrestling with the ending for quite a while, and finally he was ready to pitch his ideas to some of the other board artists. Hillenburg was counting on casting Hasselhoff, and the first question asked him was, "So, do we have Hasselhoff?" He replied no, with a grin. Hasselhoff eventually agreed, before seeing the script. Hillenburg said about the actor, "He's a great guy. He was great at making fun of himself." The crew built a 750-pound, 12-foot replica of Hasselhoff. The $100,000 replica was kept at Hasselhoff's home. He said, "It freaked me out because it was so lifelike, with teeth. When you touch it, it feels like real skin. It's soft, like your skin." At the completion of filming, Hasselhoff said, "That's ridiculously awesome. What are you gonna do with it?" Asked by the crew if he want to keep it, he answered, "Oh, yeah. Okay." Hasselhoff filmed in cold water, where he was pulled by a sled 9 yards across the sea. He described the experience as cold but, a lot of fun. In late March 2014 Hasselhoff auctioned off the replica with other memorabilia collected during his career. Julien's Auctions will handle the item's sale, and it is expected to bring between $20,000 and $30,000. The auction was scheduled to begin on April 11. Cast. The film stars the series' main cast members: Tom Kenny as SpongeBob SquarePants, Bill Fagerbakke as Patrick Star, Rodger Bumpass as Squidward Tentacles, Clancy Brown as Mr. Krabs, Carolyn Lawrence as Sandy Cheeks and Mr. Lawrence as Plankton. It also features Jill Talley as Karen, Mary Jo Catlett as Mrs. Puff, Laurie Allen as Pearl, D. Bradley Baker as Perch Perkins, Carlos Alazraqui as King Neptune Squire and Neil Ross as the Cyclops. In addition to the series cast, it was reported on March 23, 2004 that Scarlett Johansson, Jeffrey Tambor and Alec Baldwin would play new characters Mindy, King Neptune and Dennis, respectively, and David Hasselhoff would appear as himself. Johansson accepted the role because she likes cartoons and was a fan of the Ren and Stimpy show. When Jeffrey Tambor signed for his voice cameo, he saw his character and joked, "This is me." He remembered the first cartoon he saw, Bambi, "My first cartoon, I had to be carried out crying. It was Bambi. It's like the Great American Wound, the death of Bambi's mother. Run, Bambi, run. Another guest voice was Alec Baldwin. Scarlett Johansson said that the actor recorded his character Dennis on a phone. I wouldn't say that about his performance. He might be mad if we said that. Technically, it was like he was in another booth in the studio. Baywatch and Knight Rider star David Hasselhoff accepted the role when his daughters, Taylor Ann and Haley, urged him. I got an offer to do a cameo in the SpongeBob movie and I turned to my girls, who were like 16 and 14, and I said, who's SpongeBob? And they said, oh my god, Dad, it's the #1 cartoon in the world, you got to do it. Hasselhoff enjoyed his cameo, it was great fun, and to this day around the world kids stop me and say, are you David Hasselhoff? Because I was the only human in the picture. Hasselhoff said that the film gained him new fans. It's amazing, so many of the kids were so young and didn't see Baywatch and Knight Rider, so I got a whole new legion of fans. Music. Gregor Narholtz composed the score for the film, conducting the recording sessions with the London Metropolitan Orchestra at Abbey Road Studios in London. Narholtz was signed when series music editor Nick Carr recommended him to Hillenburg after they worked together at the Associated Production Music Library. Narholtz was honored at the 2005 ASCAP Film and Television Music Awards for his work on the film, and received a nomination for music in an animated feature production at the 32nd Annie Awards. American rock band The Flaming Lips recorded SpongeBob and Patrick Confront the Psychic Wall of Energy. They shot the song's music video, directed by band member Wayne Coyne and filmmaker Bradley Beasley, in Austin, Texas. Coyne said, Stephen Hillenburg seems to be a fan of the weirder music of the late 80s and early 90s. He wanted to evoke the music he got turned on to back then. Coyne suggested a duet with Justin Timberlake, but Hillenburg refused. According to Coyle, But, Stephen Hillenburg said, I don't want any of those sort of commercial weirdos on there. I don't like those commercial people. I like you guys, and Wilco and Ween. American band Wilco wrote and recorded Just a Kid. One of the film's producers contacted frontman Jeff Tweedy after seeing a SpongeBob air freshener hanging from Tweedy's rear-view mirror in I Am Trying to Break Your Heart, a film about Wilco. Tweedy said, I fell in love with SpongeBob when I heard him describe the darkness at the bottom of the sea as advanced darknessure. How could I not write a song for this film? It automatically makes me the coolest dad on the block. Avril Lavigne recorded the series theme for the soundtrack. Other artists contributing to the soundtrack were Motor Paragraph Red, singing You Better Swim, Prince Paul, Ween, and The Shins. The Best Day Ever, written by Tom Kenny and Andy Paley, was featured in the film and on its soundtrack. Kenny and Paley were working on what would become the album The Best Day Ever, writing The Best Day Ever, and Under My Rock. The film's production team needed 2 more tracks for the soundtrack. Hillenburg heard the songs, and decided to include them. The Best Day Ever ended up being played during the film's closing credits. Deleted scenes. The DVD and Blu-ray release included animatics of deleted scenes from the film, including SpongeBob and Patrick's meeting with Sandy Cheeks on the surface after their escape from Shell City. Patrick repeatedly vomits, upset by Sandy's unusual appearance. The squirrel is pursued by black-suited exterminators, and defends herself with acorns. She informs SpongeBob and Patrick that they can return to Bikini Bottom by taking a bus at the beach. When SpongeBob awakens with a hangover on the Goofy Goober Party boat, he asks a waiter for a double fudge spinny. The rejected line was used in a tie-in book, Ice Cream Dreams, which was based on the film. In 2013, the film's lead storyboard artist, Sherm Cohen, released a storyboard panel of a deleted scene from the film with SpongeBob awakening from his dream saying "Weary," and Mr. Krabs holding a manager's hat. Release. The film's trailer was released on May 19, 2004. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie opened in theaters on November 19, 2004. Its yellow carpet world premiere was at Grauman's Chinese Theatre in Hollywood on November 14, 2004. Among celebrities who saw the premiere with their children were Ray Romano, Larry King, Ice Cube, CSI, Crime Scene Investigations Gary Dourdan and Friends Lisa Kudrow. The carpet was a disturbing reminder of home for Tom Kenny, SpongeBob's voice actor. He said, "I have a 15-month-old daughter, so I'm no stranger to yellow carpets." The Motion Picture Association of America rated the film PG for some mild crude humor. In the United Kingdom, it was rated U for very mild threat and peril. It was rated G by the Australian Classification Board. Marketing, Julia Pista, the film's co-producer, said that although Nickelodeon wanted to sell character-themed backpacks, lunch boxes and wristwatches, it respected Hillenburg's integrity and gave him control of merchandising. Hillenburg had no problem with candy and ice cream tie-ins, Pista said, but he had issues with fast food tie-ins. According to him, the latter was full of hidden additives. Pista said, "The trouble is that you can't go out with animated films without a fast food tie-iner. People don't take you seriously." Hillenburg replied, "Yeah, well, my take on that is that we shouldn't do theater. We didn't want to suddenly become the people serving up food that's not that good for you, especially kids. We work with Burger King, and they make toys and watches. But to actually take the step of pushing the food, that's crossing the line. I don't want to be the Pied Piper of fast food." The film was promoted across the United States. Nickelodeon joined Burger King for a 12-figure toy line based on the film, and about 4,700 Burger King stores purchased 9-foot, inflatable SpongeBob figures on their roofs as part of the promotion. Customers could also purchase one of 5 different SpongeBob-themed watches for $1.99 with the purchase of a value meal. On November 11, 2004, it was reported that a number of the inflatables had been stolen from Burger King roofs nationwide. Burger King Chief Marketing Officer Russ Klein said, "As to the motives behind these apparent sponge nappings, we can only speculate. We did receive one ransom note related to an inflatable SpongeBob disappearance in Minnesota. The chain offered a year's supply of Whopper sandwiches as a reward for information leading to the return of inflatables stolen in November. One was found attached to a railing at the football field 50-yard line at an Iowa college, and another under a bed in Virginia. A ransom note was found for a third. We have SpongeBob. Give us 10 Krabby Patties, fries, and milkshakes." Stephen Simon and Conrad Merker Jr. were arrested after stealing an inflatable from a Burger King in St. Mary's County, Maryland. While facing up to 18 months in jail and a $500 fine, Simon and Merker said they were proud of what they did. Simon said, "Once we got caught by the police, we were like, now we can tell everybody." The following year Burger King took extra security precautions, when stormtroopers from George Lucas' Star Wars guarded the delivery of Star Wars toys to a Burger King in North Hollywood. The Cayman Islands, a British overseas territory in the Western Caribbean Sea, joined with Nickelodeon to create the first Cayman Islands Sea School with SpongeBob for the film. The partnership was announced by Pillar Bush, Deputy Director of Tourism for Cayman Islands, on March 10, 2004. As part of the agreement, the Cayman partnership was seen on Nickelodeon's global multimedia platforms, including on-air, online and in magazines. In 2005 Nickelodeon and Simon Spotlight released a book, Ice Cream Dreams, as a tie-in to the film. It was written by Nancy E. Krulik and illustrated by Heather Martinez, with Krulik and Derek Drymon as contributors. SpongeBob SquarePants Movie 300, on October 15, 2004, a film was the first to sponsor a NASCAR race, the 300-mile, Busch Series SpongeBob SquarePants Movie 300 at Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina. It was the first race of its kind where children at the track could listen to a special, kid-friendly radio broadcast of the event. Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson debuted a pair of SpongeBob SquarePants-themed Lowe's Chevrolet race cars in the race. Johnson's number 48 Chevrolet included an image of SpongeBob across the hood, and Busch's number 5 Chevrolet featured Patrick Star. Johnson said, "This sounds so cooler. I know there are a lot of families who will be excited that Lowe's is doing this. The great thing is there will be something for every type of race fan. Plus, how can we go wrong with SpongeBob helping us out on the car? Home media. The film was released on DVD March 1, 2005, in wide and full-screen editions, by Paramount Home Entertainment. It contains an 18-minute featurette, The Absorbing Tale Behind the SpongeBob SquarePants Movie, featuring interviews with most of the principal cast and crew. A 15-minute featurette, Case of the SpongeBob, hosted by Jean-Michel Cousteau. A 20-minute animatic segment featuring scenes from the film with dialogue by the original artists, and the film's trailer. The film was released as a Blu-ray plus DVD combination pack on March 29, 2011. A VHS version was released on March 1, 2005. It was the final VHS animated film from Nickelodeon Movies. As a tie-in to the film's DVD release, 7-Eleven served a limited edition under the Sea Pineapple Slurpee in March 2005. Reception. Box office. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie earned $9,559,752 on its opening day in the United States, second behind Disney's National Treasure. It grossed a combined total of $32,018,216 during its opening weekend, on 4,300 screens at 3,212 theaters, averaging $9,968 per venue. The film dropped an unexpected 44% over the Thanksgiving weekend, and 57% the weekend after that. The opening weekend earned 37.48% of the film's final gross. It closed on March 24, 2005, failing to outgross holiday animated competitors The Incredibles and The Polar Express. It was still profitable for distributor Paramount Pictures and producer Nickelodeon Movies, earning $85,417,988 in the United States and $140,161,792 worldwide on a budget of $30 a million. The film was the 29th highest-grossing 2004 film domestically and, as of May 2014, remains the 5th highest-grossing animated TV adaptation of all time. Critical reception. Review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes gave the film a 68%, based on 125 reviews, with an average score of 6.2 out of 10. The site's consensus is that the film is surreally goofy and entertaining for both children and their parents. Metacritic reports an aggregate score of 66 out of 100, a generally favorable score. Rodger Bumpass gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, calling it the good burger of animation. Plopping us down inside a fast food war being fought by sponges, starfish, crabs, tiny plankton and mighty King Neptune. Ed Park of The Village Voice wrote, "No Pixar? No problem. An unstoppable good mood generator, the resolutely 2D, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie has more yucks than Shark Tale and enough soul to swallow the Polar Express whole." Michael Rechtschaffen of The Hollywood Reporter gave the film a positive review, calling it an animated adventure that's funnier than Shark Tale and more charming than the Polar Express. Randy Cordova of the Arizona Republic said, "Like the TV show it's based on, it's a daffy, enjoyable creation." Jamie Bernard of the New York Daily News gave the feature a score of 3 out of 4, "It's not The Incredibles, or one of those animated features that spent zillions on character design, pedigree and verisimilitude. But SpongeBob is a sweet, silly thing with a child-friendly aesthetic all its own." Will Lawrence of Empire gave the film 4 out of 5 stars, calling it a film for kids, students, stoners, anyone who enjoys a break from reality. Lisa Schwartzbaum of Entertainment Weekly gave it a B- grade. "The best moments in his, SpongeBob SquarePants' first movie outing are those that feel most TV-like. Just another day in the eternally optimistic undersea society created with such contagious silliness by Stephen Hillenburg." Desson Thompson of The Washington Post enjoyed the film, "You gotta love SpongeBob. Coolest sponge in the sea, although this one has a suspiciously manufactured look." Carla Mayer of the San Francisco Chronicle wrote that the SpongeBob SquarePants movie retains the 2D charm of the hugely popular Nickelodeon cartoon but adds a few tricks, a little 3D here, a little David Hasselhoff there. The series' appeal never lay in its visuals, However, SpongeBob endeared itself to kids and adults through sweetness and cleverness, also abundant here. A.O. Scott of the New York Times gave it a score of 4 out of 5, if you're tired of bluster and swagger, SpongeBob is your man. Tom Mostad of the Dallas Morning News also gave the film a B- grade, being so good is what led to making the movie, and it's also the reason that many small-screen episodes are better than this big-screen venture. Some reviews praised David Hasselhoff's appearance in the film. Jennifer Frey of The Washington Post wrote, "Getting to see the hairs on Hasselhoff's back magnified exponentially is perhaps a bit creepy. Like the movie, it's all in good fun." Nancy Braziel of About.com, who gave the film 4 out of 5 stars, wrote that Hasselhoff must have a great sense of humor. Cinema Blend founder Joshua Tyler called Hasselhoff's role the best movie cameo I've seen since Fred Savage stuck a joint in his crotch and played a clarinet to charm the resulting smoke like a snake. David Edelstein of Slate criticized the film's plot, calling it a big, heavy anchor of a story structure to weigh him down. Mike Clark of USA Today called it harmlessly off the cuff but facing far more pedigreed multiplex competition. SpongeBob barely rates as okay when compared with The Incredibles. A reviewer noted in Time Out London, "Anyone expecting anything more risky will be sadly disappointed." In his Variety review, Todd McCarthy said the film takes on rather too much water during its extended feature-length submersion. Internet Movie Database staff member David N. Butterworth gave it 0 stars, saying that for much like Fish, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie truly stinks. While the film was generally well received by fans of the show, it is considered a turning point in the show's history. Many fans believe that the television series has declined in quality since the film's release. While episodes aired before the film were praised for their uncanny brilliance, those aired after the film have been called kid-pandering attention waster, tedious, boring, dreek, a depressing plateau of mediocrity, and laugh skimpy. After the film's release, fans began to turn away from the show, causing fan sites to beck on deserted. Some fans believe that the show's 2012 ratings decline correlates with a decline in quality, and, whatever fan support the show enjoys is not enough to save it from its slide in ratings. Accolades. Video game. A video game based on the film was released for PlayStation 2 PC, Game Boy Advance, Xbox and GameCube on October 27, 2004 for Mac OS X in 2005 and PlayStation 3 on February 7, 2012. The home console version was developed by Heavy Iron Studios. The Game Boy Advance version was developed by WayForward Technologies and published by THQ. It was created on the same engine as SpongeBob SquarePants, Battle for Bikini Bottom. Game developer Heavy Iron Studios tweaked the graphics to give the game a sharper and more imaginative look than Battle for Bikini Bottom. It increased the polygon count, added several racing levels and incorporated many creatures from the film. The game's plot was based on the film, with SpongeBob and Patrick on a mission taking them outside Bikini Bottom to retrieve Neptune's crown. On October 4, 2004, THQ announced the game's mobile release. Nickelodeon Vice President for New Media Business Development Paul Jelinek said, "As one of the leading publishers of wireless entertainment content, THQ Wireless is introducing the SpongeBob SquarePants license to a whole new audience of gamers. THQ has been a great partner to Nickelodeon over the years and we look forward to the same standard of excellence with these upcoming SpongeBob SquarePants games for wireless devices." The mobile console was developed by Amplified Games. Sequel. On February 28, 2012 the production of a sequel was announced. It would be directed by Paul Tibbitt, written by Jonathan Abel and Glenn Berger and produced by Stephen Hillenburg for a late 2014 release. On August 1, 2013, Paramount changed the sequel's release date to February 13, 2015. It was announced in early June 2014 that the film will instead be released on February 6, 2015. To avoid competition with Universal Pictures' 50 Shades of Grey, which is set for a February 13, 2015 release. References. External links. Official website, The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie at the Internet Movie Database. The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie at AllMovie, The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie at the Big Cartoon Database, The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie at Box Office Mojo, The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie at Rotten Tomatoes, The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie at Metacritic.